There's a lot of anecdotal advice around on improving your marriage. But if you want something you can really use that will actually make a difference and reignite your marriage, check out the link in the description below.
The question, why do you think your marriage has survived? Answer by Jamie Franklin Bell. When something happens during the course of the day, whether funny, gossipy, or whatever, the first thing I think is, I can't wait to tell Jim. We have been married 26 years. Our text logs are full of private jokes, hilarious, we think, emojis used for people we don't like, everyday chore stuff, rants about school and work, what's for dinner, sexts. Basically, our life. I love my husband, but I also really like him. Political conversations with him are gold. He has always been able to make me laugh. I like being with him. We talk about everything, sometimes in the wee hours of the morning. With this many years married, there is a shared history of our ups and downs as a couple. Our different homes through the years, the fire, bloody Thanksgiving, our trip to Hawaii, countless crazy family stories, the children, and now, grandchildren. We are now together in the uncharted waters of having elderly parents. With 4 stubborn parents, this is a challenge. Our grandchildren bring new energy and joy to our lives. Jim is finishing up school this fall for a second career adventure. I'm trying to think why our marriage has survived and thrived, but the only word that keeps coming up is bond. We are bonded. I can't imagine life without him, and he feels the same. We are on this journey together. And the story continues. Answer by Jules Myers. Ooh, I could write a book on this one. But quite simply, Jesus and commitment to our vows. We were babies when we got married, 21 and 22. Didn't care for religion or God at the time and certainly didn't know who Jesus was. We were committed to each other and we believed that marriage was something that you didn't give up on. We took our vows seriously. So the first part of our marriage, it was love and commitment to each other that kept us together and a little naivety. The second half, I would say it was Jesus who saved us. 13 years into the marriage, we had everything we hoped for, but we truly had each become very selfish. We weren't always looking out for one another, more for ourselves. I felt empty and somewhat lonely, and I looked to my hubby to fulfill all my needs, and because he is human, there was no way. Wasn't fair to put all those expectations on him. During those lonely years of marriage is when I found Jesus and realized that he was the one that brings joy. It truly changed how I saw my hubby and also changed my heart, so I became a little more loving and forgiving and generous. I became so much more thankful and grateful for this guy I got to spend my life with instead of focusing on the negative. I wasn't so caught up in all the things that went wrong, and we learned to communicate with each other better and seek to be a better couple. Not just thinking of ourselves. We of course still have our ups and downs, and I have to check myself daily. But I have a place to seek out my wisdom and my joy. To keep a marriage intact, you need to give a lot of grace and learn to sacrifice for your partner and see how valuable they are. I ache for those marriages around me that I see fall apart that don't have to. I believe that people's marriages can be restored and renewed even when there is much hurt. Another thing that has helped us thrive is having some tools to help us thrive, and those people around us that have great marriages and relationships speaking into us and praying for us. Answer by Uruj Newton. My husband left for a 3-day religious gathering. He called me to tell me he was going. When I returned home from the workplace, I realized there were no breakfast rations in the house for the next morning. I shopped, cooked, and took care of everything while he was gone. For the first time in married life, I texted my father and told him how thoughtlessly my husband had left. When my husband earned, I told him he made things very difficult for me. He instantly said sorry. That evening, he took me out to dinner by the sea. The next day, I called my father and told him about the apology and the dinner. My father asked me why I was telling this to him. I said I wanted to give him the complete picture of what happened between the two of us. My father said the following words to me on phone. Uruj, I have come to realize that although you fight all the time, both of you have always made efforts to maintain this relationship. So, I have resolved to speak in your problems only when it is utterly necessary. I know the two of you will manage. So, there you have it, right from my father's mouth. Our marriage has survived because both of us have wished it to survive, because we continuously refuse to give up on each other. Of course, there are reasons to dislike his habits or actions, but with them, are reasons to fall in love with him even more.